The autumn afternoon had painted the city in shades of gold and amber, and the little restaurant on Maple Street was buzzing with the quiet hum of clinking glasses and murmured conversations. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small moments to change lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories. Also, tell us in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? Daniel wiped down the table near the window, his hands moving with practiced ease, his eyes carrying that particular kind of tiredness that only single fathers understand, the kind that lives not in the body, but somewhere deeper, in the bones, in the soul. He had been on his feet since 6 in the morning. His daughter Emma was waiting at home with their neighbor Mrs. Patterson, probably doing her homework, probably wondering when Daddy would be back. He thought about her small face every time the restaurant door opened, every time the clock on the wall ticked closer to evening. Daniel was 34 years old, a widower for 3 years now, and this job, this humble, exhausting, underpaying job, was the bridge between his daughter's dreams and the harsh arithmetic of real life. He never complained. He smiled at every customer, refilled every glass without being asked, and remembered the names of regulars. He believed in dignity. He believed that how you do the small things reflects the size of your heart. He had learned that from his wife, Maria, who had died of cancer on a Tuesday morning while Emma slept in the next room, and whose absence had become a permanent resident in every corner of his life. He carried her with him always, like a song you never stop humming. It was around 2 in the afternoon when the woman walked in. She was perhaps 50, dressed in the quiet confidence of old money, a cream blazer, pearl earrings, and the kind of posture that comes from a lifetime of believing the world was made specifically for you. She sat down at Daniel's table without waiting to be seated, placed her designer handbag on the chair beside her as though it deserved its own seat, and picked up the menu with 2 fingers as if she were handling something slightly beneath her. Daniel approached with his warm, practiced smile. "Good afternoon, welcome. Can I start you off with something to drink?" The woman looked up slowly, her eyes moving over him the way people sometimes look at furniture they are considering replacing. She said nothing. Then, deliberately, she turned to her phone and began typing. Daniel waited. He had learned patience the way most people learn it, through suffering. He waited a full 30 seconds before she finally looked up and, in flawless French, rattled off her order. Not a word of English, not a glance that suggested she expected him to understand. Her lips curved slightly, not into a smile, but into something that lives just next door to cruelty. The table beside her had 2 elderly women who exchanged an uncomfortable glance. A young couple nearby pretended to study their menus. The woman repeated her order in French, this time slower, louder. The way people speak to someone they consider simple. There was a performance in it. A small, mean theater where Daniel was supposed to be the punchline. He felt the familiar heat of humiliation rise in his chest, the way it always does when someone decides to remind you of your place. But he breathed through it, the way Maria had taught him to breathe through hard things. And then, quietly in perfectly accented French, Daniel replied, "Une soupe à l'oignon, le saumon grillé avec légumes de saison, et un verre d'eau gazeuse." Excellent choix, madame. A perfect translation, a perfect delivery, a gentle, unhurried smile. The woman's face did not fall dramatically. It did something more interesting as it stilled. The small theater she had built collapsed without a sound. Daniel had not said it to embarrass her. He had said it because it was his job, and because he had spent 2 years studying French in college, before life rearranged his plans, and because his mother had always said that the best response to someone trying to make you small is to simply be large. He brought her soup first, then the salmon, checking that the temperature was right, that the presentation was clean. He refilled her water without being asked. He did not treat her any differently than he had treated the laughing family in the corner booth or the old man by the door who always ordered the same chicken sandwich. When he brought the check, the woman looked at it for a long time. Then she looked at Daniel. Something had shifted in her eyes, not guilt exactly, but its quieter cousin, awareness. She opened her wallet and placed the money on the small tray. Then she added another bill, then another. When Daniel picked up the tray, he found that she had left a tip that was larger than the entire bill. Folded beneath the notes was a business card. On the back, in careful handwriting, were these words: "My late husband spoke 4 languages. He was also a waiter when we first met. I am sorry." Daniel stood in the small hallway between the kitchen and the dining room and read those words twice. He was not sure what he felt. It was too complicated to have a single name. He thought of Maria. He thought of Emma at home doing her homework. He thought of all the people in the world carrying invisible weights, making small cruelties out of their private griefs, and all the people on the receiving end of those cruelties who had no idea they were standing in the middle of someone else's broken story. He pocketed the card. He went back to work. That evening, when he got home, Emma ran to the door in her socks and threw her arms around his waist the way she always did, and Daniel held her a little longer than usual. He helped her finish a drawing she had started. A house, a garden, a sun with too many rays. He made her hot chocolate and listened to her talk about everything and nothing. And when she finally fell asleep, he sat in the quiet kitchen and thought about grace. Not the kind that is given to you, but the kind you choose over and over again, in a world that does not always make it easy. He thought about the woman in the cream blazer, and he hoped that wherever she was, she had found a little of it too, because that is the strange, generous arithmetic of kindness. It does not subtract from the giver. It multiplies. It finds its way back. It always, somehow, finds its way back. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel Kindness True Stories, where every story reminds you that a small act of grace can change everything.